Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What precautions should one take when being buried in a non-Muslim country? This is an excellent question because we find ourselves in all sorts of minority situations in this day and age. For example, here in South Africa, Muslims are about 2% of the total population, which makes South Africa a Muslim minority situation. It might be somewhat different from most other Muslim minority situations in certain respects, but still the concerns when it comes to matters of burial and other civil rights and civil responsibilities, there are of course certain things that we need to be cognizant of. So to commence, inshallah, when it comes to the burial, when we bury somebody, yes, there are certain concerns and certain things that we need to ensure, especially in light of a minority situation. For example, Muslims should be buried in their own area as opposed to being buried along with other denominations of beliefs and non-beliefs. Muslims should be buried in their own area. And this isn't unique to Islam. Even other religions, Christians would prefer to be buried with other Christians. The same thing, Jews would prefer to be buried with other Jews. So Muslims should be buried in their own area. Secondly, the grave should be dug in a way where it's deep enough so that it would at least conceal the odor of the decomposing body, as well as protecting the decomposing body from any predators or animals and the like, which should of course smell the decomposition taking place and then dig up the body. Optimally, graves should be dug deep enough so that an adult man, could stand inside the grave and raise his hands upwards, and it should also be wide enough for him to comfortably, lay down in there and have some room in that breadthwise position. This is the ideal. And then, of course, there are specific recommendations for how to place the body inside of the grave, between burying a little chamber in the floor of the grave or burying a little chamber into the side of the grave. The third important dimension of Muslim burial rites is that the deceased must be placed facing the Qibla. So the person or the deceased is laid to rest on the right-hand side with the front side of the body facing the direction of the Qibla, and this is one of the important rites of how a Muslim should be buried. Furthermore, it is also unlawful to bury someone where another person is buried unless the previous person's remains have completely disintegrated and decomposed, including the bones and anything else that usually takes a bit longer than the flesh parts of the body. Furthermore, if there are specific circumstances to take into consideration, the soft nature of the ground and how the person should be accommodated because of the nature of the ground, those things should be revised in our fiqh literature. But importantly, it is essential that when we pass away, building up to our passing, we should make sure we understand the laws of the land and what exactly transpires when a person passes away in that particular country. Are there any documentation requirements for the person to ensure that they are buried according to Muslim rites and not according to some other form of rites? Now, janaza and everything that forms part of the rites of a person when they pass away is considered from the bracket of communal obligations, right? Fard kifaya. That means that at least a segment of society should stand with the responsibilities of what needs to take place. Or if this doesn't happen, then the entire community is held accountable for neglecting those responsibilities. So in Muslim minority situations, based on this communal obligation principle, we should establish burial societies or organizations that would stand responsible for anyone who passes away as a Muslim, but for whom we cannot find any Muslim relatives. The reason why this is so important is that, for example, a beggar, a vagrant, somebody who is homeless, doesn't have any family, but they are Muslim. If they pass away and no Muslim stands up to take care of the burial rites, then the fear is that the state may step in and handle their janazah according to the state's designated rites, and thus the entire community is held accountable for not burying that person in the way that a Muslim should be buried. So these types of organizations would become a necessity in a Muslim minority situation unless there's some other form of organic structure whereby we can ensure that those who pass away are treated with the necessary respect, and that the communal obligations of washing the deceased, shrouding the deceased, praying over the deceased, and burying the deceased according to Islamic rites, so that that is all taken into consideration and applied accordingly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Tamam, may Allah grant us the best of endings, and may our passing be one that is 100% in conformity with the laws of Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. And by that I mean, of course, the rituals that are conducted for us when we pass away. Allahumma ameen.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله